9. Retired Greek Airways Boeing 727. In rural Hillsboro, Oregon, there's a Boeing 727 jet that once flew for the Greek airline Olympic Airways. The seemingly abandoned aircraft's exterior is noticeably old and worn, as if it was left at the mercy of nature and forgotten about. But it's actually the home of a retired engineer named Bruce Campbell, who paid $100,000 for the plane in 1999 after it was retired from commercial service. He paid another $120,000 to have it flown to the US from Athens. Campbell repurposed the 727 into his permanent home. He never divided the interior into separate rooms, but he removed some of the seats to make space for his furniture and belongings. The engine is also gone, but the aircraft sits along a major fault line. So he left the landing gear in place to protect it in the event of an earthquake. Campbell told Bottom Line blogger Bill Briggs that airplanes function as flying homes, but that they can serve the same purpose just fine on the ground. They're equipped with everything a person needs as far as modern conveniences like lighting, plumbing, and climate control go. He saw no reason to create separate rooms or make any other major changes to the interior. In fact, Campbell believes that retired aircraft could be repurposed as affordable housing, despite the pretty penny he paid to set up his 727 as a home. He spends half the year living in the aircraft in Oregon and the other half in Japan, where tsunamis, earthquakes, and other natural disasters have made thousands of people homeless on a moment's notice at various points throughout history. Speaking to Oregon Live, the eccentric engineer pointed out that 3 commercial aircraft are retired daily on average, and he wondered out loud why they end up being scrapped or abandoned when they could easily function as someone's home. 8. NSA Spy Hub in the heart of Manhattan. At 33 Thomas Street in Lower Manhattan's Tribeca neighborhood, there's a brutalist skyscraper with no windows and no clear purpose. Standing at 550 feet, 167.6 meters tall, this drab concrete structure is commonly known as the AT&T Long Lines Building. It was built in the early 1970s for the purpose of housing the world's largest center for processing long-distance phone calls. According to records, the building is still owned by AT&T, but a report by The Intercept based on documents obtained by the Freedom of Information Act and other sources of information alleges that the building functions as a national security agency spy hub called Titan Point. In fact, according to the article, the Long Lines Building is one of the most important NSA spy centers on US soil. And while the outside of the structure seems silent and mysterious, the interior is allegedly bustling with intelligence activity, including agents tapping phone calls, faxes, internet data, and other activity. The building's address isn't listed in the documents obtained by The Intercept, but other evidence, including architectural plans, public records, and interviews with former AT&T employees, suggests that the skyscraper was or is used for clandestine spying purposes. Some of the information came from records leaked by whistleblower Edward Snowden. The materials strongly indicate that the NSA has a highly secure facility within the building, where agents have targeted the United Nations, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and communications in at least 38 countries. The NSA declined to comment on the story, which means that the agency has neither confirmed nor denied its use of 33 Thomas Street for its rumored surveillance activities. 7. Cardiff Cold War Bunker. In the affluent Cardiff suburb of Llandaff, there's an inconspicuous, single-story, windowless, vine-covered brick building tucked away in the yard of a Victorian mansion. But one glance at the interior reveals that the building was meant for something other than everyday use. Built in 1956 amid escalating Cold War tensions with the Eastern Bloc, the unassuming 2,000 square foot, 186 meters squared structure was an emergency bunker that would function as a local nerve center in the event of a nuclear war. Its purpose was to enable the government to continue operating even in the midst of a catastrophe. To accommodate its occupants, it contained a kitchen, ventilation system, generator, control center, message rooms, officers' rooms, and escape hatches. Britain's Civil Defense Control Center ran the site for 12 years before it was disbanded in 1968. at which point it became a storage facility for emergency supplies. Volunteers maintained the building until the 1990s, when it was left behind for good. Like all other nuclear bunkers throughout the country and world, it was never used for its original intended purpose. Today, the long-abandoned shelter's interior is moldy, damp, and filled with garbage and rusting furniture. It's the only remaining Cold War site in Landaf. In 2022, it was designated as a Grade 2 listed property, which means that it's protected under law due to its historical value, despite its state of disrepair. Have you ever been inside a bunker? Tell us about it in the comments below, and hit that subscribe button while you're at it. 6. The Padiglione Reale. The Stazione Centrale is the main railway station in Milan, Italy. More than 300,000 people pass through it daily, with most paying no mind to a series of closed doors that they walk right past. Behind those doors is a lavish waiting room called the Padiglione Reale, or the Royal Pavilion. It was added onto the station in 1926 at the urging of Italy's Minister of Communications, Costanzo Ciano. He thought it would be a good idea to create an elegant waiting space for the country's royal family, the Savoyas, who traveled by train to their countryside palace. Italy's monarchy ended immediately following World War II, but the Padiglione Reale still exists. It consists of 2 floors, the first of which is situated at ground level. It's filled with empty rooms that were once covered in fascist symbols, but the imagery was removed following the end of the war. The upper floor features a series of different marble interiors, as well as royal emblems, high-end furniture, and a balcony overlooking the public square. There are swastikas engraved into the wood flooring as an embellishment meant to impress Hitler if he ever dropped by, although he never visited the station. And there's also a small bathroom, where a large mirror conceals a ladder leading to an emergency escape route. The Padiglione Reale is hardly ever open to the public, so most people have never seen it firsthand. 5. Train Station Ballroom. When the Flinders Street train station in Melbourne, Australia was built in 1854, the city was a much different place. It was far less populated and contained none of the many skyscrapers that it's home to today. In fact, the station was the first structure of its kind in the country. The transport hub was originally very basic. It consisted of a 100-foot, 30 meters platform, which is where passengers would wait to board the single existing train line to Port Melbourne, known as Sandridge at the time. At the time, Melbourne was expanding rapidly due to its recent discovery of gold in the region. The Flinders Street station gradually expanded as people flocked to Victoria in throngs, hoping to strike an overnight fortune. During this so-called Marvelous Melbourne period, the city became extremely wealthy. In 1883, shortly before the end of the gold rush era, public officials called for a more extravagant version of the station to be built. It took some time, but the new Flinders Street station finally opened in 1910. The revamped property included an elegant ballroom above the main station that was built as a form of entertainment for railway workers. It also had a gymnasium, a lecture and concert hall, and a full-time caretaker who lived on site. Nearly 170 years after it was first built, the station is still there. It also still contains some of its original fixtures, including the ballroom, which was off-limits to most people for decades. In fact, it wasn't until 2020 that members of the public were allowed into the ballroom. According to The Guardian, many people didn't even believe the ballroom was real until then, including street artist Tyrone Wright, better known by his nickname Roan. Once he found out that the ballroom actually exists, he expressed an interest in putting the defunct space to use. In 2022, he became the proud creator of a new exhibition called Time, which has transformed the ballroom into what looks like an old cobweb-covered library and mailroom. The display ran until April 2023, and the ballroom has since become home to a new exhibition called Shadow Spirit. 4. The Haiku Stairs. Nestled among the Ko'aulo mountain range on the Hawaiian island of Oahu, there's a steep outdoor staircase called the Stairway to Heaven. Also known as the Haiku Stairs, the structure consists of 3,922 steps that once led to a top-secret U.S. Navy facility called the Haiku radio station, which was used for transmitting radio signals to Navy ships throughout the Pacific. After the naval base was decommissioned during the 1950s, it functioned as a base for Omega, the first-ever global-range radio navigation system. Around that time, the wooden steps that originally made up the Haiku Stairs were replaced with the metal steps and ramps that remain today. The staircase was once open to the public, but it attracted too many curious visitors for the government's comfort level, and in 1987, both the Haiku Stairs and the station were closed. In 2003, the city of Honolulu paid $875,000 to repair the stairs, with plans to reopen them to the public. But that never happened, and in 2018, the city made it clear that it never will, due to safety concerns. Trespassing has been a constant problem. Officials estimate that thousands of people have carelessly walked right past the no trespassing signs and ignored warnings that they could face a $1,000 fine for going any further. The hike offers stunning views of the landscape and nearby Kaneohe Bay, and it's proven nearly impossible to keep people away. Sadly, the Haiku Stairs will not exist for much longer. Realizing that there's only one way to get the trespassing to stop, the fed-up Honolulu City Council voted to remove the staircase, and the mayor has green-lighted these plans. 3. Britain's smallest police station. At the southeast corner of Trafalgar Square in London, there's a tiny police station that was built into the bottom of a large, hollowed-out light fixture. It's so small and well hidden, many people walk right past it without even noticing. Built in 1926, it's Britain's smallest police station. It was designed to accommodate just one officer and up to 2 prisoners at a time. And its original purpose was to enable the Metropolitan Police to keep an eye out for unruly demonstrators. The station is equipped with a set of narrow windows, offering the cop inside a direct view across the main square. It was also outfitted with a direct phone line to Scotland Yard in case the officer on duty needed to call for reinforcements. Anytime the phone was picked up, the lightning on the outside of the station would start to flash as a way to alert any nearby officers that their help was needed. Today, the space no longer functions as a police station, but as a much less exciting broom closet for city workers. 2. The Eiffel Tower apartment. Shortly after the Eiffel Tower was completed in 1889, word leaked that its designer, civil engineer Gustave Eiffel, had a private apartment built for himself near the top of the structure. It's a small but cozy space, and it was originally decorated in a simple style that Eiffel favored. Situated nearly 1,000 feet, 305 meters in the air, the apartment was equipped with wooden cabinets, several desks, a kitchen, a bathroom with a separate toilet cubicle, and even a grand piano. It was surrounded by an open-air balcony. Eiffel wanted it to be appealing to scientists, so he filled an adjacent space with scientific equipment. Parisian socialites were green with envy when they heard about Eiffel's apartment. He reportedly received numerous offers from elites hoping to rent it from him, but he declined them all. After all, he had the cozy abode put there for his own use as a reflection space and for entertaining prestigious guests like Thomas Edison. The apartment didn't even have a bedroom because it wasn't meant to be lived in. Today, it's open to the public for tours, offering a long-awaited glimpse into the high-demand space that the Eiffel Tower's designer awarded himself for his hard work. 1. Reach, New York. Hidden in plain sight along the uptown and downtown platforms of the N and R subway lines inside New York City's 34th Street Herald Square station, there's a pair of inconspicuous green boxes hanging in plain view. Nearby, there's a plaque explaining that it's an interactive, urban musical instrument. Using it is as easy as waving one's hand in front of the 8 eyes on the box, which play a variety of sounds and sound images, including the marimba, the flute, and even rainforest noises. The sounds are updated every year. In 2015, for example, the sounds consisted of 6 different amphibian species. including the eastern cricket frog, the American toad, the Great Plains toad, and the Canadian toad. In 2020, the sounds were updated to include various bird calls. Known as Reach New York, the display was installed back in 1995 by artist Christopher Janney, who maintains the display to this day. It often goes unnoticed by commuters, despite having been there for nearly 30 years. So, if you happen to visit or live in the Big Apple and want to impress bystanders, go ahead and give it a try. You might even get strap hangers on the other side of the tracks to play along. Thanks for watching. Have you ever found something incredible in a strange place? Let us know in the comments below, and hit that subscribe button while you're at it.